Delivers it long and deep downfield for Robinson. Leaps high in the air. He's got it!
Henning fires to the end zone. Touchdown, Michigan!
Felton to the near side. Touchdown, Penn State. The Nittany Lions win it in overtime.
Oh, man, that was awesome. Hit the Wayback Machine. Tom Brady before he could even grow facial hair. Michigan beat Penn State 18-13 last season to snap what had been a 4-game losing streak against the Nittany Lions. Remember a couple of years ago, back in 2013, that 4-overtime epic Bill Belton's game-winning touchdown ending the longest game in Big Ten history as Penn State knocked off Michigan 43-40. Wolverines have been used to, as of late, playing dramatic games and playing high-scoring games, in large part because they've turned into Air Rudock. Jake Rudock has nearly 800 yards passing, Jerry, and 8 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. I wonder, though, if that's more a matter of necessity over the last 2 weeks, because it seems like it completely changes against this Penn State defense.
The reason they've thrown for so many yards is because that was the best way to win the games. I don't think it's necessarily what they want the Michigan offense to look like. Think about it. You line up in traditional formations and you don't have a dynamic tailback. That makes it difficult to run. Offensive line has improved, but they still have to win every one-on-one battle in the box. When you line up in pro formation, and a lot of the formations that Michigan lines up in, you have to win all the battles in the box, because one missed block means that it's not going to be a good play. It's not the spread. If you're a spread team, you can miss a couple blocks in the box. The ball's going to be on the perimeter and in space. And so Michigan, if they continue to line up in these formations, which I would expect they would, you have to have the best talent in the country. Yeah. But it's been a great adjustment throwing the ball. It's won them some games. Now, whether that formula works against Penn State, I think it'll be a little tougher for that formula to work this week than it has the last few weeks.
The thing is, the Wolverines do have an immensely talented tailback. They're just not using him. Jabril Peppers. I mean, if this guy were getting the ball 10 to 12 times a game, then Jake Rudock wouldn't have to complete six touchdown passes to win a game. But to Jerry's point, if you look at yards per carry in the last 3, only 1.9 per rush against Michigan State, 3.7 at Minnesota, 3.6 against Rutgers. You got to be doing better there. So I do think Michigan continues to pass here. You know, one of the advantages here for the Wolverines is that Penn State, without its really good safety, Jordan Lucas, out for the rest of the year. So I think Michigan feels like it can protect, even though Penn State leads the Big Ten in sacks.
If they feel like they can protect, easier said than done against guys like Nassib and Zettel, one of the top sack teams in the entire country in Penn State. As for the other side of the ball in Penn State's offense, Jekyll and Hyde based on whether the Nittany Lions are playing inside Beaver Stadium or on the road. Look at the numbers. Just 1-3 away from home, almost cut in half in terms of point production, just 18 points per game in their 4 games away from Happy Valley. Now, that includes the neutral site game against Maryland down in Baltimore. More turnovers in fewer games. It just seems like they don't click as well when they're on the road. The good news this Saturday, they're at home. The bad news, Jerry, is that they've struggled to find balance this year. When Hackenberg has been good, they haven't had a run game. When Saquon Barkley's been dominant, they've struggled to throw the ball. So in this game, how do they find that balance?
Well, you know what's changed about this matchup? If you go back to the beginning of the year, Penn State's offensive line struggling tremendously, right? But they have improved. Michigan's defensive line, really talented, but they've lost 3 starters. And now Saquon Barkley, 582 rushing yards in 3 starts. So the whole equation about can Penn State be balanced and run the ball against, a month ago, one of the best defenses in the conference, this speaks well for Penn State's chance. We know this, Teddy. If it becomes a pass rush, Joe, in other words, Michigan doesn't have to defend the run against Penn State. Right. We're going to have Hackenberg under pressure like he's been a lot of the year. But what I find interesting is this equation has changed. I see Penn State being able to move the ball on the ground better now than we would have projected a month ago.
Yeah, Barkley's been a huge part of that. And Rick, you mentioned Jekyll and Hyde. That's a good way to characterize Christian Hackenberg's career at Penn State. He thrived under Bill O'Brien in that first season. Second season, he spent most of the time pulling chunks of earth out of his helmet because he was getting sacked so much. And now he's been, started poorly this year, Temple putting all sorts of pressure. There have been some better results, but clearly Christian Hackenberg does not think this offense suits him. At Northwestern, the last game, he started 1 for 10 passing. I asked him afterwards about the scrutiny. The quote was, "Whatever they're asking me to do, that's what I'll try to do to the best of my ability." A very polished answer. He got his point across without drawing undue attention to himself.
Another guy who's very polished, head coach James Franklin. Though one of the criticisms of Franklin since arriving at Penn State, lack of signature wins. 3 games against ranked teams, 2 losses to Ohio State, and a loss to Michigan State. No doubt have a chance to pick up that signature win this weekend, right? No, Franklin disagrees. He doesn't even buy into the whole concept of signature wins.
A win would be good. We like wins. Be awesome. Sundays are much better. Mondays are much better. Again, we don't make one win or one game out different than others. I know other people do. We want to be 1-0 this week. I know perception, is a powerful thing because it's that person's reality of how they see situations and how they see things. We want to be 1-0 this week.
Understand the message James Franklin is trying to send to the public, to his players. You cannot, however, convince me that a win over Maryland or Indiana, all due respect to those teams, means as much to this program as a win over Michigan at home this Saturday would mean.
By the way, Jerry, I hope when you were coaching, you never used that whole "we want to be 1-0 this week," because that absolutely drives me crazy, and every coach does it. The reality is with James Franklin, he's 0-4 against ranked teams. And absolutely, he's not going to fire up this fan base by beating, as you mentioned, Maryland by 1 point in Baltimore. You have to have a signature win. I mean, they're trying to refill that stadium every week. They're trying to get recruits excited. So I understand coaches are going to say, hey, it's only one game. It counts the same in the standings. But, to beat Michigan at home would be really huge.
Yeah, I'm going to be somewhere in the middle. I don't agree with James Franklin that every win is the same. I think it depends, obviously, on your opponent. But the de-emphasizing the signature win, I do agree with him because that's short-lived. I mean, a big win and you lose the next week really does nothing. Consistency, I think, is what all coaches want. Now, I'm not a 1-0 guy, Teddy, as you mentioned, and I'm not a guy that says every win is the same. I don't believe that. But I understand his point of there's no such thing as a signature win. I do agree with him there. I disagree that some games are more important than the others, and this Michigan game happens to be more important than most of them they've played.